And we are live. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show. Very excited. Hold on. I'm going to make this prettier. Hold on a second. There we go. Some people don't like to see my giant big face in the morning. They haven't had their coffee. I'm excited to be with Julie Wilder with the Spiral Circle. The Spiral Circle is a cool bookstore. It's much more than that. But when my kids went to Windows, so any of you Orlando people, kids went to Windows preschool, it's that cool store right next door behind it. Just always been, I feel like it's been around forever. It's got a great feel. It's from the old days of the bookstores, where bookstores were actually this intimate place you could go and kind of peruse and walk around. So we're here today to talk about For the Love of Local. And welcome, Julie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we've been here for 45 years this month.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. So tell me a little bit about you. I think they can, I tagged you, but it'd be great if we could if you could give them kind of a backstory on you. You've got a great community backstory, and then we'll take a deep dive into For the Love of Local.
Okay, well, I'm no stranger to the Mills 50 district. I got my kind of community start at Dandelion Community Cafe. I was the co-founder and co-owner until about 5 years ago. And during that time, I also was a host of Front Porch Radio on WPRK for 10 years, and that was a very community-focused radio show. And I was also one of the co-founders of Orlando, which was the Think Local First movement that kind of started even before the Main Street District started. And that was not necessarily in response to the recession that happened in 2009. But it was very timely, and it did help a lot of independent businesses survive by raising that local consciousness. So I've been in the community doing things for a long time. I consider myself a localist first and an entrepreneur second. And this place here, Spiral Circle, it's on Thornton Avenue, which is the exact same street Dandelion is on. It's just on the other side of Colonial. And I would wander in here on my days off. And in fact, when we were looking for a location for Dandelion, I wandered in here frustrated and found Beverly, who is the founder and mother of this place. And she was like, when the way is open, the path will clear. Some really great thing like that, she said. And I left here and I drove across 50 on Mills, and I literally heard a voice in my head that said, turn here. And so I turned on onto, what is it, Hillcrest or Amelia? Right, I think it was Hillcrest. And then I heard another voice that said, turn right here onto Thornton. And then, whoa, there Dandelion was. So that was like my first interaction with Beverly. And she later gave me a book called Power versus Force that really helped shape my perspective in life. So this place was dear to me. And my now business partner, her name's Summer Rodman, she kind of reached out to me because we both knew that Beverly had passed. It's been about 3 or 4 years now. And she was just like, I can't see that place leaving. It was such an important part of her spiritual journey. And it's a super important part of everyone's journey, really, that was spiritual here. I mean, this place is 45 years old. I'm 41. So it opened in 1975 in Winter Park. And it opened at this location in 1978, which is the year I was born. So I just feel incredibly lucky that I get to steward this place into the future. And it's just the coolest gig ever.
It's such a cool place. Tell them a little bit about it for people, because I know it. To me, it's an Orlando gem. It's a hit. Sometimes it's a hidden gem. Actually, I think more people know about it than I think people really do know about it, but tell people who have no idea what the Spiral Circle is, give them a little feel for what happens when they walk in the door. I think it's magical, which is sort of that wink wink I put on the promo.
It's very magical. Like, there should be a film made, a documentary made about this place. The place itself is what they call a third place. And it has an energy that's accumulated here over the last, 4 decades of just people that are seeking solace and comfort, some guidance. It's a very non-denominational spiritual store, leaning more towards metaphysical, but there's books on Judaism, Buddhism, all kinds of New Age books. There's a couple of Bibles over there, so there's definitely, it's always been an open and inclusive place. But I know that when Beverly first started, she got shot at, they called her, all kinds of names because they thought she was very witchy. And it's not that I have a thing against witchy, but it's never been like that in terms of like dark and, all that kind of stuff. It's a very beautiful place that has been one of the first like inclusive places that anybody could come and know that they felt welcomed and could get a hug from Beverly. She was famous for her hugs. So it's a bookstore. We have like over 2,000 titles of books, a specialty bookstore in that mostly you're going to find wellness books. We have a lot of cookbooks, wellness, herbal stuff, a huge kids section, a lot of stuff on masculinity, femininity, LGBTQI section. So there's all different kinds of books here for all different kinds of people. And then I would say there's an equal amount of gifts. Behind me, we've got our crystal table with all of our tumbled gems and bracelets. We've got a lot of jewelry and, things that you need like sage, candles, incense, all of those kinds of good things. But it's a really great place to find a gift for someone that is hard to shop for. So.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many things. There's lots of memories. Like I said, all three of my kids went to preschool right there. And so I just remember going in between, and you just felt, I love the inclusion is the word that you mentioned earlier. There was this, you felt included. You felt, there was a peace there. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like a calm and a peace. And I hadn't heard of the third. What did you call it?
It's a third place. It's a special place. Like people go to work and they go home, and then like this is the place I would come when I just needed to get out of Dandelion back when I was working there. I just needed to get out of there every once in a while, and I wander over. People wander here. They come in here. They don't know what they're looking for. They just are kind of magnetized to come in here and wander around. And you get a sense of, it's like going to like a spiritual library, like that feeling you get when you're at the library and you're like, but it's been cultivated for decades, just positive energy here. Just a place, nowadays it's all a fashion to write these big signs at the door about who's included and welcome. But Beverly was like that for decades, without a sign. It was just known. And one of the things that made me very, very happy when I started to see what the customer flow was like in here, it is all ages, all races, all cultures, all, identities come in here. It's not something that I didn't have to worry about how to build up, different diverse clientele because they were already here. That's just how Beverly was forever and ever.
I agree. She was just loving, and in a way where you felt at home the minute you walked in the door. Even before you walked in the door, I just feel like, again, I have never heard of third place before, so I love that concept. But that is what it's like, and I miss. I think I put in one of the descriptions, don't you miss the old feeling of the neighborhood bookstore? That I know I always think of You've Got Mail. I know that's crazy, but I think of that little bookstore that could, and you went in and you felt at home. You could meander, you could relax, you could kind of decompress, which is what you referenced earlier. And I think it's just, we're missing that so much, and it's such a cool place. When you first reached out to me, I thought, oh God, do I really want the whole world who doesn't know about it to know about it? But of course, that's selfish. I want the whole world to know about it and feel it. So you're doing a lot local. Obviously, you have a big local background. You're very involved. What are you seeing in the local scene as far as all of the promotions to support local, especially during quarantine, where it has been difficult? A lot of our friends are suffering, being furloughed, having to close. Why is local important to you?
So for me, it's always come from a place of community, of wanting to be involved in and surrounded by people who actually care about one another, who say, make eye contact at the grocery store. I've always been one of these people that talks to people, in line at the grocery store, right? I just am genuinely like a friendly, caring person, and I like more of that in the world, and my community moved away from me after college. I went to UCF, and my community, they all exited for San Francisco, So I was left behind, and I realized that experience I had in college. I had an incredibly amazing crew. We're still like besties and get together once a year. But I needed that community back. And for a lot of us, maybe we don't have a very close family or something like that. So our friends become our chosen family. And that was my main impetus. That's why Dandelion was named Dandelion Community Cafe, because that was the central tenet. Everything else we did was just, as a backdrop to, hey, we want to get people together for community, right? And so that was very important to me. And then when I became an entrepreneur and a business owner on that scale, I saw like systemic inequities. I saw, especially being in the restaurant world, I saw and understood the importance of a vibrant local food system, because, back then people looked at me funny. I was in a meeting with the city of Orlando at one point, and I was kind of defending a farmer who was trying to get his dairy products into the farmer's market. And I said, supply lines are important. Like, what if we ever get cut off? This is, part of city resilience. And I remember them just blinking at me like, huh? And here we are in a pandemic.
Here we are.
Slightly worried about supply lines and food. Farm workers and immigration, those things go hand in hand. Immigration's been a huge talking point. On my radio show, I did an entire series on farm workers and what's going on in the fields. A lot of people don't realize that we have actual cases of slavery. It's crazy, but modern day slavery in the fields of Florida, which has subsided due to the activism of the farm workers that were, doing their thing, making change very successfully. So
that's scary. I'll have to have you on to talk about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty, actually that would be a great, because right now, my first jump when I saw this happening was, okay, I'm going to plant a garden, because I hadn't done that in 10 years. I've been too busy being an entrepreneur, so I'm like, in retrospect, I should have a garden planted. But I also went, there's a blog post on spiralcircle.com right now called The Pandemic Pantry. And I point out all the ways that you can get local food from farmers. Right here in Central Florida, delivered to your door, so you don't have to leave. You're supporting your local farmers. It's actually less expensive for me to eat this way than I was before the pandemic happened. For me, it was all about creating a vibrant, local, resilient community that could take care of itself if something like this happened. And here we are in that moment, and I'm grateful that we've been doing that work. Right now, one of the biggest things I've been leaning on is the Main Street districts. We're in the Mills 50 district here, and Main Street was something that got set up right after we did the Orlando movement. It has been a tremendous help. Those directors of the Main Street districts are working their butts off to make sure that all of us are taken care of. And I don't think a lot of people, if you're not a business owner, then you don't understand immediately what we understand, which is we're all very close to going under. That's the reality of it. Nobody who has a small independent business is getting very wealthy off of this. This is just, a working, sometimes even paycheck to paycheck for a lot of business owners. There's not a lot of reserves, especially having come from, a down economy. So it's really, really important that the people that have the stimulus checks that don't need it. I know there's a lot of people that are unemployed right now, and, it's a scary time, and none of you guys should be spending your money anywhere, just preserve that for your household. But those that can, then it's very important that you, instead of going on Amazon.com right now and buying a book, you can come to our website. And we just found that's one of the cool things about this opportunity here, is that some of us are finding different ways to innovate and add to our business. And we went and made sure that our website online store is whiz bang. and easy to navigate and searchable. We've got 4,000 products online right now. But I also reached out to a couple of people to do partnerships, which I don't have on right this second, but by the end of the day I will. And one of them is a partnership with bookshop.com. And that's a way that if we don't have a title that you see, but you want to support our business, you can go to bookshop.com from our link and we will get a cut of that sale.
I didn't realize you could do that. That is
well,
so
it's
cool.
a new thing. It's actually something that just launched in January, and what a boon for his business this pandemic has been, because
Absolutely.
you know he said that it would have taken him 3 years to get to this point. But you know, Amazon is actually, it's not, books aren't essential right now, so they aren't shipping those as much, and so this is a really great way to shift your purchasing habits. Hey, I've used Amazon.com for books. It's, you know, where are the bookstores anymore, right? There's very few of them. There's Writer's Block in Winter Park, and then there's us, and that's pretty much it for Central Florida. Yeah, so it's a really, really great way to continue to support us, and you know, make sure that places like us, I mean, our sales are down 90%. And I think we'll be okay because we have the longevity. This place just wants to be here, you know. And
that's a great way to put it. That's a great way.
This place wants to be here. Okay, we didn't rescue it for it to not, you know, survive this. And I'm kind of old hat at business, so I know how to navigate these kinds of turbulent times. I've done it before. And you know, we also had some startup capital we purchased it last June from the founding family, so we still had some money that was kind of sitting there that I was like, I was about to spend it on, you know, getting all different kinds of inventory. And this started happening. I was like, I'm just going to wait for a second and
save it.
Yes. So we're, you know, our staff hours have been cut back, but, you know, not enough that any of my staff is, you know, we're basically using that money to pay our staff right now.
There's so many questions. So let me ask you, go back really quick to the pandemic farmers market.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So and I'll plug that website when we finish the broadcast. But tell people what they can get there, and because I've had people ask me about food and produce, and I knew that there was something out there, but I wasn't really sure. So can you give them the website or how they reach?
Let me just help you out, because especially right now, like, what is the main concern is that we're all vibrantly healthy, so that if we do contract this, you know, that we have our best shot at it. It's actually a blog post on our website. It's called the Pandemic Pantry, and I give links to all different kinds of websites. So the first thing I go over is what kinds of foods are good for lung health. And so that is, that's listed out according to traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, which are alternative medicines that have been around for years and years and years. And then I go into, okay, where are the local things? There's a really great website that I used, you know, years ago when I was starting Dandelion. It's called localharvest.org. And on there, you can find any farm that you want. There's also in my article that I posted, I talk about, there's a vegetable delivery service called Orlando Organics that has been, it's basically what's called community supported agriculture, a CSA. And it's been something that's been rising in popularity because of the, you know, the clean food movement. So what he does is he goes to the big suppliers as well as local and small farms, and he aggregates it all, and he delivers to your door a mix of vegetables and fruits based on your family size and all that kind of stuff. So you don't necessarily, you know, you can pick some of the stuff that you get, but you don't get to pick everything. And it's great because, you know, I mean, I owned a restaurant, but I would never go to the grocery store and buy radishes. You know, like that's just not something I would do. But I've been getting radishes delivered, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just, you know, throw these in with the potatoes. You know, so it makes you kind of get outside of your comfort zone in a way, but it also ends up getting a very diverse, you know, group of food on your plate that is seasonal. So it's really
love that. I didn't know. I think a lot of people, they're looking for something to support local. I think people, another point that you made earlier, which ties back into this, is that I feel like the communities as a whole have done such an amazing job of supporting their community.
Yes.
And rallied together. I mean, it's amazing. The restaurant owners, for example, will use Mills 50. Everybody's supportive of each other. They already were, but everybody's supportive of each other. And there's this ongoing, there's so many blogs and so many Facebook groups where there's this support and this, you can do it, and we're glad to see you're still here. And, I think we all felt that in the little Main Street stuff and the little districts, but I don't think the rest of the world knew that that was happening within those communities, and now everybody sees it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, we're still known to the outside world as Disney, and but Orlando, I call this, especially Mills 50, it's the heart of Orlando. I've said that for over a decade. And there really is a spirit here and a collectivism and a community where that was one of the main things that myself and Emily Rankin, who is the co-founder of Orlando, she now has a business in East End Market. But that was one of the things we wanted to talk about, was business as an act of kindness and not as a competitive thing. I mean, I'm really good friends and was with one of the owners of Ethos Vegan Kitchen. You would think that as competitors, we wouldn't talk to each other or anything like that. But Lane and I went to business school together. And when I started Dandelion with my former business partner, I hired her to do our books because she's a bookkeeper and brilliant at it. And so she was like, hey, just want to let you know, we're thinking of opening a vegan restaurant, just in case you don't want me looking at your books. And I said, no, hopefully my numbers can help you. And she went on to open Ethos, and she's doing her and her husband are doing a great job over there. And we've kept in touch all of this time. She's actually now my bookkeeper here at Spiral Circle. So, yeah, I mean, there are some people out there, that still have that competitive mindset. But for me, if you are just focusing on the value that you're providing to your community, we're all just families trying to feed our kids, that's what it is. And I know that I certainly wouldn't want to hurt anybody that also has, kids to feed, that's just not in my soul.
Well, it's a collaborative spirit. There's, I think we talk about it a lot. You're either coming from a lack perspective or an abundance perspective. And if you come from abundance, then collaboration to me is just key. Then nobody's competitive. I mean, they're a competitor as defined by the society and all that, but you can still work with them. I love that story about you and the Ethos founder. That's really cool. That shows you. I've had people do that to me on different businesses too. Like, people will spin off of businesses I own. They're like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? You go be successful, take what you learn, and go do it.
And I have run into some people that do have the internalized competitive thing, but that's just programming that we get from our culture about big business, And sometimes it takes a little bit of time for people to go, oh, okay, I don't have to be like that. And it's actually not like that. And it's better if it's the other way, Right. And so I don't really blame people that kind of come in with that. And so I just kind of try to kill it with kindness and be cool, as best as I can, because what I'm doing isn't going to take away from what you're doing. As long as we're both focused not on trying to one up each other, but just trying to be who we are and who our business wants to be,
So I agree 100%. We got to focus on who we are. I love that. All right. Tell me, what's your go-to book? Because I think a lot of people go back to one book, especially one that you loved and made an impact on you. And then during trying times, you tend to go back to the thing that motivated you and inspired you. Do you have one of those or a couple of those?
I read books all the time. I'm a book. That's why I was like, oh my God, I go to a bookstore. This is so great. There's a couple of books that I really like. One of them that I mentioned it earlier, Power versus Force by David Hawkins. Beverly recommended it to me when I was going through a hard time. And it's something that I think that a lot of people could get value out of. It explains so many of us are going through this, there's anger and fear and uncertainty and all of these different things. And it really helps you understand kind of the emotional journey that's there. And also how to come from a place of power as defined as partnership instead of what we think of power as, which this book calls force. So instead of having to force and manipulate your way into doing things, this talks about being in your true power seat, which is just really empathy and understanding the world around you through that lens. So that's a really, really good one. And gosh, there's so many good books. One of my other favorites that I would probably suggest for people who are just kind of stepping into this world is called The Four Agreements. And that one has been deeply influential on my life. I can't remember what the Four Agreements are, so
that's okay. I can't either. I was thinking it too, and I'm like, I can't remember.
One of them is being impeccable with your words. That's the one I struggled the most with, because it's not necessarily about like not lying or anything like that, but it's about when you speak, not being lazy and using, being very accurate with your words, and being impeccable with your words. So not just taking shortcuts, really being very conscious of what you say, what impact it has, and how to use your words in a very, words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Like, and as you see right now, there's so much misinformation going around. So
much.
Right? And so like it's important that we are careful with our words and look, hey, we've all gone down the conspiracy theory hole. I'm not behooving anyone for like wild right now, but maybe we don't want to spread that, let's just, internalize it, but not like share information that we don't know to be true.
So tell people how they can reach you again. I've got the website kind of going this way on the ticker tape down there. Is that the best way people can reach out to you, can find out more about Spiral Circle?
That's the best way right now, because we are closed for business, obviously, in terms of traffic coming in the store. But from 11 to 4 every day, we have someone here packing up the online orders, and you can do curbside pickup or call us between 11 and 4. So we can do a little personal shopping for you if you need it. But our online store is super robust right now. And if we don't, and like I said at the beginning, if we don't have a title that you're looking for, by the end of the day, there will be a link up there to bookshop.org that will give us it's basically an affiliate link, but it's significant. We get like 25% of the sale, which is it's actually a nonprofit organization, just to help bookstores out. So they actually split any of the profits between the store, and if a link comes from us, we get 25% of that sale, which is great for us because as a specialty bookstore, I really don't carry all the titles. I specialize, but I can get a benefit and pay my workers from any of the sales that you do from that link. So.
All right, guys. Julie Wilder with the Spiral Circle. You're awesome. That was so good. Thank you so much. Thanks for all you're doing. You guys check it out, spiralcircles.com. And when it's open, I want you guys to go there and get the feel for it.
Yes, it's amazing. I would love to see all of you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie. Great seeing you. Have a great one. Thank you, guys.